WNBA and the Indiana Fever did not want people to know that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for the season. I can tell you, from the very day that they decided to let that go public, everything has dropped off a cliff.
Everything has crashed straight off a cliff. The WNBA has gone from hype to pure comedy mode. Ticket sales are tanking, ratings are embarrassing, and now the Indiana Fever are being pushed, no, forced, to pack up and play in Atlanta. And all this chaos comes down to one name missing: Caitlin Clark. The league thought fans wouldn't notice, but surprise, they definitely noticed. The whole thing is unraveling right in front of us. Tell me this, do you honestly think the WNBA could even make it through a full season without Caitlin Clark? Comment your thoughts below. Let's keep it real. The WNBA is straight up desperate right now. The numbers expose it all. The second Caitlin's season-ending injury went public, interest didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff. 1 week, arenas were packed. ESPN was bragging about record-breaking ratings. Fans were driving hours just to catch Indiana games. The next week, empty seats, bored crowds clapping half-heartedly, and TV ratings that look like reruns nobody asked for. And their solution? Oh, it gets worse. The league actually thinks moving Indiana's games to Atlanta is going to fix this disaster. Atlanta? That's not fixing anything. That's panic on speed dial. Like, who came up with that? Lose your biggest star? Don't worry, just switch cities. That's not strategy, that's comedy. Now let's rewind. When Caitlin was healthy, the WNBA had struck gold. She wasn't just a player, she was the show.
So yeah, a lot of teams, whether it be the Lynx opening the upper bowl, whether it be the Wings, the Dream, the Sky, all of these teams moving games. All of these teams are moving games for the Indiana Fever, regardless of who it is. They all have to sell those seats. And a lot of people don't want to go, and it's super cheap. Like, it's a lot easier to fill a 10,000 seat arena without Caitlin Clark than to fill 20,000. So you're going to have to find a way to do it anyway, which is what a lot of people are going to be doing, trying to sell tickets. The seats for the playoffs, I would say the Indiana Fever playoff seats would have been, honestly, like nearly $1,000 in. I actually think had Caitlin Clark been playing, it would be nearly $1,000 into this game.
ESPN plastered her face everywhere. Her games pulled millions of viewers, and social media couldn't get enough. Indiana wasn't just another team. They were the hottest ticket in the sport. Every road game turned into a Caitlin Clark home game because fans were flooding arenas just to see her. But here's the shady part. The league and the Fever front office knew she wasn't coming back this season. They kept it quiet, let rumors swirl, and dangled that fake hope in front of loyal fans. Why? Because they knew the second the truth dropped, the money train was over. And just like that, the bubble popped. Look at Baltimore for proof. Nearly 3,000 ticket-holding fans never even walked through the door. Think about that. People already paid for their seats, had their tickets in hand, and still said, nope, not worth it. That's not a small dip in interest. That's betrayal. Fans thought they were buying Caitlin Clark. Instead, they got WNBAL, with zero refund in sight. And now ESPN is out here acting like everything's smooth sailing. They throw out these shiny stats about year-over-year growth and highest viewership in decades. Please, let's keep it real. Those inflated numbers came from one source: Caitlin Clark. Those monster spikes? Clark, the viral highlights? Clark, the logo threes and no-look passes? Clark! Without her, all you get is a dull 90,000 viewer snooze fest featuring teams nobody outside their own zip code even cares about. Let's put this in perspective. One of the league's so-called big matchups couldn't even crack 100,000 viewers. That's influencer livestream territory.
People felt like they were going to games thinking this team would have Caitlin Clark coming back to make a championship run. I mean, the perfect example, the game in Baltimore the other day with the Mystics. Nearly 3,000 fans decided not to show up, and they paid for the ticket.
Honestly, some high school state championships pull better numbers than that. Yet the WNBA's out here parading around like nothing's wrong, when in reality, the sky is crashing down hard. This is Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's absolute nightmare. She gambled everything on the idea that the WNBA could finally break free from relying on one superstar. But now it's clearer than ever. Without Clark, the league flatlines. No trending hashtags, no viral clips, no casual barbershop conversations, just silence. And the funniest part? Their genius plan is moving Indiana Fever games to Atlanta. Oh yes, because nothing screams, "Our league is strong," like uprooting a team just to squeeze out a few extra ticket sales in another city. Do they really think Atlanta fans are going to show up and cheer for Indiana without Clark? What's the pitch here? Buy a ticket, get a free hot dog. The math isn't mathing. And here's the kicker. This isn't even new. We've seen the same trick before. Remember when the NBA tried to prop up weak markets for TV deals, even when fans didn't care? It flopped then, and it's flopping now. You cannot fake demand. Either people want to watch, or they don't. And right now, without Caitlin Clark, they don't. Just look at the receipts. Before her injury, that Fever versus Sky Showdown with Clark and Angel Reese lit up 2.7 million viewers, higher than some MLB primetime games. But after she went down, Fever versus Mystics dragged in a pitiful 270,000. That's a 90% collapse overnight.
Season-ending injury, WNBA tickets were averaging $89. The moment she went down, price crashed nearly 30%, plummeting to $62 a seat. That's kind of crazy. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but obviously the biggest reason is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark literally being out. And again, she's only on one team. But a very big chunk of the total attendance in WNBA is from the Indiana.
Fever versus Lynx barely scraped past 1 million views, and that's supposed to be a highlight matchup. Even the so-called big markets like New York and Vegas can't move the needle. Aja Wilson can hoop all day, no doubt about it, but if casual fans don't know or care, that's the brutal reality. And trust me, nobody knows it better than the players themselves. You think they haven't noticed those empty arenas, the sudden silence online, or the way ESPN isn't blasting their highlights like before? Of course they see it. Look at Angel Reese, sulking, half engaged, half checked out. She feels it. The whole league feels it. Players know deep down their paychecks look fatter because Caitlin Clark exists, and without her, those checks shrink real quick. That's the bottom line. The WNBA hitched its entire relevance to one star, and now that star is sidelined. And the so-called solution? Ship the Fever to Atlanta like a traveling circus, hoping a new market distracts from the fact that nobody's tuning in anymore. That's smoke, mirrors, and desperation. And fans see right through it. Players aren't dumb. They feel the vibe shift. When Clark was on the floor, every single possession had weight. Every foul call got gasps, boos, or cheers like it was a finals game. Now, you can hear sneakers squeaking louder than the crowd. That's not energy. That's dead silence, and it's awkward. Take Angel Reese as the perfect example. 1 week, she's the next face of the league, the golden girl on every headline. The next week, she's pouting about her minutes, sitting out with tightness, or getting rumored to be fed up with her own team. And the craziest part? Outside of hardcore WNBA Twitter, hardly anyone even notices. Here's the cold truth nobody wants to admit. Fans tuned in for Clark, not the league's soap opera. The WNBA can hype whoever they want. Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier. Elite talent, no doubt. But when their games air without Clark, the ratings don't lie. We're talking 130,000 viewers, maybe 200,000 if ESPN begs hard enough. That's supposed to be the future of women's basketball? If so, the future looks bleak. And let's circle back to this Atlanta stunt. What exactly does forcing the Fever to play there accomplish? Atlanta's own team has been struggling for years to fill seats. Their fans barely show up for their own squad. So now the league thinks Indiana's roster, minus Clark, is gonna magically draw crowds in a city that couldn't even pack the house for its own team? That's not strategy. That's wishful thinking on life support. That's not strategy. That's pure smoke and mirrors. You want to know the real reason behind this Atlanta stunt? Optics. The WNBA doesn't want cameras panning across those depressing empty rows in Indiana. Empty seats tell the truth, and no fancy stat graphic can spin that. If you drop the fever in Atlanta, you can shuffle tickets to sponsors, comp half the arena, and suddenly the broadcast looks lively instead of like a funeral service. This isn't about fans, it's about hiding the disaster. And the sting cuts even deeper because the WNBA spent the whole summer beating its chest about historic growth. ESPN plastered those flashy graphics about record ratings, bragging that Caitlin Clark was lifting all boats. Except those boats were full of holes. The second she went down, water flooded in, and now the league's out here trying to bail with Dixie cups. And fans aren't fools. They see the hustle. You can only sell illusion for so long before reality slaps back. Just look at Baltimore, where 3,000 ticket holders never even showed up. That's not bad luck. That's fans voting with their feet. People are done being tricked into thinking there's energy when the product feels dead. Even the narrative that Clark's just one player has completely collapsed. Remember how critics used to say the WNBA was bigger than her? That the culture and legacy stars would keep things moving? Ratings have blown that fairy tale to pieces. The second Clark's out, the entire league vanishes from mainstream conversation. Let's call it straight. The WNBA has a full-blown dependency problem. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the oxygen tank. Pull her out and the whole room suffocates. Moving Indiana's games to Atlanta won't change that. It's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Sure, the chairs look different, but the ship is still going under. What's even wilder is how short-sighted this all is. Instead of building real excitement around multiple stars, the league doubled down on Clark like a lifeline, while pretending they weren't. That's how you end up in this mess. A league pretending to celebrate all-time high ratings, while secretly panicking over half-empty arenas and fans tuning out. And don't get me started on the hypocrisy. Media outlets are out here lecturing fans that they should support women's basketball, regardless of Clark. That guilt trip angle has been tried before. Remember those support women's sports because it's the right thing campaigns? Newsflash. Guilt doesn't sell tickets, and it doesn't boost TV ratings either. Fans want entertainment, not lectures. Clark delivered that. Without her, the whole product looks flat, uninspired, and easy to skip. That's nothing new. Every league survives off stars. The NBA had Jordan, then LeBron, then Curry. The NFL had Brady, now Mahomes. MLB had Bonds, Jeter, and plenty more. Stars are the currency of sports. But here's the big difference. Those leagues learned how to spread the shine. When Jordan left, the NBA had Shaq, Kobe, and Iverson lined up to carry the torch. When Brady started slowing down, Mahomes slid right in as the face of football. The WNBA? They shoved all their chips on Clark without ever admitting it. And now it's showing. Instead of a next woman up moment, what we got is an empty stage. The rest of the stars aren't pulling weight when it comes to mainstream buzz. That's not disrespecting their game, it's just facts. Which raises the million-dollar question. What happens next season if Clark isn't 100% right away? Do the ratings nosedive all over again? Do they scramble to move more games into random neutral cities to fake hype? Or do they finally admit the obvious? Without Clark, they're running on fumes? Here's the truth. The WNBA had a golden opportunity in their hands. They had viral moments, sold-out crowds, ESPN shining a spotlight, a wave of new fans ready to buy in. But instead of laying a foundation for long-term stability, they milked Caitlin Clark bone dry. And the second she was unavailable, boom, they were exposed. That's not growth. That's dependency. And fans aren't going to stick around out of pity. If your entire product only matters when one person shows up, then you gotta admit what it really is. A niche league propped up by one superstar. That's fine if you own it. But pretending otherwise? That's straight up insulting to fans. And this Atlanta stunt is the final test. If those games flop in attendance and ratings, the league has nowhere left to hide. And if they somehow pull off a sellout, let's be real. it'll be freebies, not real demand. Either way, the desperation is loud, and honestly, the sarcasm writes itself. The WNBA has turned into the Clark National Basketball Association. They can deny it all they want, but the receipts don't lie. Without Clark, ratings sink, arenas empty, and ESPN's left recycling old highlights just to keep casual fans awake. So yes, they can shuffle teams around, spin stats, and flood PR campaigns. But the truth is clear as day. Caitlin Clark is the sun, and without her, this league sits in the dark. So there you have it. The WNBA is scrambling moving fever games to Atlanta and praying fans don't notice the collapse. Spoiler alert, we noticed. The panic is real, and the league looks completely lost without its star. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more no-filter sports talk.